All right, welcome back to another episode of the Eternal Athletes Podcast. I'm Erin.
I'm Ryan.
And we have with us a very special guest to kind of walk us through her journey. I guess I should say run us through her journey, since she is I know, right? Cross-country runner from Harvard University, joining us, freshman there. So we're going to talk a lot about her story, how she ended up at Harvard, because that wasn't the initial plan, which sounds crazy because I think most people probably want to go to Harvard really bad. That would be their first plan. So kind of how God directed her steps to lead her to where she is. So we're definitely excited to have Mackenzie DeLisle with us. Thanks for joining us, Mackenzie.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm
You're
excited.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, can't wait to dive in, Mackenzie. Yeah, I know you have an awesome story, a faith, obviously sports, some cool records. I know you had, some stuff going on with, college decisions coming up. So can't wait to dive into everything.
Absolutely. So let's start off. We always like to start off with our guests just kind of talking about when that intersection happened between the sport that you play, so within running, and your faith interaction. Because I know some kids, we've talked to a lot of athletes who grew up in the faith. They were going to church every morning since the time they were born. They don't know any different. And then through sports, they kind of found other teammates and they could kind of dive in from there. We've had stories of people that didn't know Christ at all until they joined a sport. So maybe just walk us through a little bit about your story, your background, your upbringing in the faith, and then when it kind of started to click that you could intertwine that with your running.
Yeah. So we definitely grew up in a God-fearing household. My mom, my dad were always very adamant and like taking us to church on Sundays, praying, always saying our prayers before bed. And we were also a really big sports family. So it's always kind of been intertwined for us. But I went to a Catholic middle school and a Catholic high school, but I started running my freshman year at Bishopboro. And that was just that was an insane kind of intersect, I guess, for me, because it was so easy, I guess, to intertwine sports and faith because I went to a Catholic school. So before races, we would always pray as a team before in our little huddle. And it was just never like a bad thing to be praying before or like praying after, or even just like thanking God for the opportunities we got that day. So it was really special in that way, I guess. And it was also very easy to like spread the gospel in that kind of way, because no matter what, and we would also kind of invite other teams too, if they, or other individuals that would want to like come pray with us if maybe their team wasn't Catholic Christian, didn't want to pray. But it was just really special like time for me, and it happened my all 4 years. And the last 2 years I was the captain of the cross country team, so then it was my duty to pray kind of over the team before the races. And it was really special. We got everyone involved, and like it was just I don't know, it was a really special time. And I'll always look back on it and like be thankful that I had that in that community. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you invited others to pray with you if they didn't come from a Christian school. Did they take you up on that, or would other people come pray with you?
Some did, yeah. It was, but it was also kind of daunting. Like not everyone always wanted to, so it was kind of scary asking. But if we like were like, oh, we're praying, you want to come pray? They definitely would. And it was also we did it a lot in track because that was more of an individual sport, I guess. So it was more like your heat. I don't know if you guys know anything about track, but we have like different heats. So like our heat would pray together, maybe even the whole race would pray together, and it was like really special. So in our like community, yeah.
That sounds awesome. I mean, gosh, in our eyes, that just seems like a dream of like just Jesus and sports, like your whole life. It seems like, so that's really cool to see all that unite, especially more on the competitive space. Yourself, starting, junior high, or more in high school, you were mentioning. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
And I love that you just said too about like some people that was daunting and you were afraid, like some people didn't want to pray with you, but I feel like it's so amazing to just err on that side of, you know what I mean? I'd rather ask someone to pray with me and they say no than them secretly wanting you to ask them to pray with them and you never do.
Exactly.
So I love that.
Yeah, it was really special. And it also like, I feel like it just connected the whole group of girls, and it just like calmed everyone's nerves in like a good way. We would like connect hands, and I know with my team, especially like in cross country, I'll shift back. We would like kind of squeeze each other's hands like it was a heartbeat going around the prayer circle, which was really special, I think. But yeah, it was just something that really like calmed our nerves, made everyone feel ready, and everyone just kind of thanked him for the opportunity that like we got that day to race. So and like offering all of our success up to him. So it was like really special.
That's perfect, because like as an athlete, the tension and like the adrenaline rush, before competition starts.
Yeah.
You can get so nervous when it hasn't even started
Mhm.
yet and everything. So,
Yeah.
that's actually like really cool, to calm your nerves and everything. And
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
it's a strategy to calm your nerves because we want to pray, right? But
Mhm.
the side effect, hey, calms your nerves as well.
Yeah.
So
I think that's good
Yeah,
too to
it's
get your
great.
mind focused right from the beginning because it can be it's a team sport, but it's also
Mhm.
individual. Like you want to win, but it's
Mhm.
also I feel like when you start off that way, reminding keeping first things first and reminding that like, hey, no matter what happens, like this is just a
Yeah.
minuscule thing in the big what's the word I'm looking for? Big scheme of everything. So, and did you mention you just started running your freshman year?
Yes, I
You
did.
didn't run before
I
that?
No, my mom I was actually a gymnast prior to that, like, for
Okay.
6 plus years. Yeah, I was a big gymnast,
Okay.
and then going into my freshman year, my mom has always been, like she ran track in high school, but she's always been, like, a hobby jogger, you could say.
Yeah.
But she encouraged me to, like, kinda, like, try out for the cross country team just to see if I could, like, make friends, get used to the
Yeah.
environment, kinda stuff like that, while I was still doing gymnastics. So it was very hard at my first few months there, but, um, right away, my first race actually was, like, quite the breakout, I think. I
Yeah.
ran really well. I think I came 2nd or 3rd on the team. I'm not certain on that, but I was on varsity and I came 2nd and 3rd as a freshman and I was like a itty bitty thing. Like I was really tiny. So everyone was just like, "Whoa, what is this girl doing? Like how did she get there?"
Yeah.
And that was kind of an eye opener for me. It was just a different environment, a healthier environment, I'd say for me. So like pretty
Yeah.
soon after that first race, I knew I had potential and I kind of like shifted away from gymnastics and I kind of shifted and like embraced cross country and running
Yeah.
since then. So but
came
credits to my mom for making
Yeah.
me go to
Yes.
practice
See,
that
moms
first day.
know
So
things. Kids need to okay, if you're
yeah.
listening to this, listen to your mom sometimes, okay?
Yeah.
We care. We know stuff.
Mhm.
it almost like came natural or whatever when you're starting
Yeah.
like that. Obviously a lot of hard work. Don't want to like discredit obviously, the hard work and
Well, all
everything,
your
but
hard work in gymnastics probably
but
helped you.
yeah, and like obviously
I think so, yeah.
discipline. Was gonna ask, in your upbringing and stuff too, and that's awesome you brought up gymnastics. Was there ever a time where you like really wanted gymnastics to be your thing, and then I don't know, maybe what was the turning point and like I don't want to say giving that up or transitioning, or did you ever think about a long-term career there? And where
Yeah.
did faith play a part in any of that, if at all? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So I was I was a gymnast for quite a long time. I think I started elementary school maybe around 3rd-ish grade, 3rd grade, I'd say. Um, and I went all the way up through my freshman year, as I said. But
Mhm.
it was it was certainly a time. I do credit a lot of like my discipline that I have now and like the mental strength I have now, like from I credit gymnastics for that. But wow, that was a sport. It was very mentally challenging, but for a really long time, like that was my thing. Like I loved it. I loved to go to practice. Like I still keep in contact with like a few girls and like they're some of my best friends still
Mhm.
today. So it was definitely like I would not change it or like trade it for the world to like
Yeah.
be a gymnast during that time. But wow, it was it was a time. Like towards the end of my career, I was kind of dealing with a lot of like mental blocks and like I was
Mhm.
just not having as much fun as I was like in previous years.
Sure.
So when I was encouraged to like try something new, I was very like, oh yeah, let's try something new. Let's see if I like this better. Um, and like I said, well, July 4th, we had a 5K across the bridge in my hometown, and my mom made me run it because it was like a few weeks before the first cross country practice. And I finished the race, and I was just crying. I was like, "Mom, please do not make me go to cross country practice. Like, I cannot do that again." I was like sobbing, hyperventilating. It was so bad. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not cut out for this. Like, this is horrible. Like, I'm a
No.
gymnast. Like, let me do cartwheels. Like, let me go
I
flip.
do.
Like, I can't run." And
Give me the pommel
wow,
horse.
and then this
Yeah.
just so but she forced me to go to practice, thank God, and we got
Yeah.
into that how I, like, really had a breakthrough there, but gymnastics
Yeah.
was really, really mentally challenging for me, I'd say, and I actually, like I was still going to church every Sunday through that time because I said we
Mhm.
grew up in the faith, but it was hard, like, I would, like, ask God, like, "Why can't I do this? Like, why can't I do this? Like, please give me the strength to be able to, like, flip," or, like I was just so scared going to practice every day because I didn't know if I could be able to go over the vault that day or, like, I didn't know if I could do my giants
Yeah.
on the bars that day.
Mhm.
It was just this, like, mental, like, obstacles that I had to go through every day. It was just very, like, tiring and, like, challenging, but, it was I'd say, running played a bigger part in my faith, like, I really incorporated it there. In gymnastics, I did, like, pray, and I was like, please, like, give me the strength to do this. But I feel like it was a little less like prevalent in my gymnastics career, but it was still there for sure. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little bit
yeah,
about my gymnastics side. It
Right.
was hard, but definitely I would not change it. I loved it when I did it. It was hard
yeah,
towards the end and I switched, but um yeah, I give it a lot of credit to the sport.
That
yeah.
that's great. And one thing I don't want to gloss over completely, but just want to draw attention to it in the world of, Christian athletes and everything. I know gymnastics, there's a lot of, weekend tournaments and meets, if you will. So you mentioned, still being able to go to church every Sunday and everything there. So I don't know, to my ears, that shows that it's possible because you see a lot of individuals and call it travel ball or other gymnasts or whatever it is, AAU, whatever the weekend tournament is that just not forget, but just neglect, I should say, their Sunday
Mhm.
obligation and everything. And, the praise the Lord. So that's really cool. Definitely don't want that to be overlooked,
Mhm.
for everything here. So that's awesome. You're able to do that and
Yeah.
have that discipline, even
Yeah.
if you're
Mhm.
tired from the meet, tired from traveling,
Yeah.
to still get there and
Mhm.
everything. So
So
Yeah.
here's what I
Yeah.
want to know.
Mhm.
How did you go? Okay, okay. And so for those of you that are listening that don't know, the reason I'm asking is because Mackenzie is she's your state champion in the 1600 for Florida 2.8.
Mhm.
So that's why I was like, man, you didn't start running till you were a freshman, and then you obviously had all this high level of success. I'm curious what happened between that 5K over the bridge and
Oh.
practice, meaning like, because you don't just go from starting, I mean, there's practice leading up to your very first meet where it sounds like you had a breakout meet and you were, wow, like I can do
Mhm.
this. When you first showed up that first day of practice and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna go just do this again, I'm just gonna just run,
yeah, what
like how
happened?
did you
What
get
happened in that month? Because it was a
Mhm.
few weeks before the cross country season started.
Mhm.
From where you're in
Yep.
that 5K and what happened in that month to make you like
Yeah.
still want to do track or
her
track?
mom
Yeah.
mom made her?
Yeah. So we had practice like a few days after the July 4th 5K. And my coach was like, "Okay, just run 3 miles." And I didn't have a watch, so like the girls had to tell me when to turn around and go back. And I was like, "If I can just make it through this like with just jogging, no stopping, like I could do that today." So every day I kind of gave myself a little bit further, like I would go
Mm,
3.25 the next day, 3.5 the next day, just to kind of like slowly build up that endurance, I guess. Um and it was quite the challenge. I wanted to stop like every single step of the run, probably the
mhm,
first like 2 weeks, I'd say, until after that I kind of got like the hang of it and was like, okay, this isn't too bad. I can do this. And I remember I was still in gymnastics, like I think like pretty much halfway through the season, cross country season, but like I was terrified to do my bar routine, right? And my coach was like, Mackenzie, you ran 6 miles this morning. You could do this bar routine. Like I remember I would run in the morning because we had 5 a.m. practice, and then I'd go to gymnastics practice from 4 to 8 that night. So it was like quite
wow,
the load for me. But I
yeah,
think I mean it was good to I guess like split up my two sports in that way. But
yeah,
uh and when I first like raced, like I don't know what came over me, but it was like just this competitive like
uh-huh.
I come from a very competitive family. Like we always like board game nights are not fun for our family. Someone's in tears. But like
There's tears.
I don't know, something came out. I knew I had to run fast. I ran. I just wanted to get to the finish line, honestly. That's what made me run so fast. So, but
Like, how I want to
it
get it
was,
done.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But after that, I started to like learn strategy and like learn to actually enjoy pushing myself. But that first race was definitely like, let me just get to the finish line and get this over with.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I'm with
So
you.
there was something that's amazing, and so there was something that still pulled you forward to do cross country, right, and or track instead of gymnastics. I mean, what was, I guess, pulling you and, like, getting you to, like, do those training days? Sorry if I missed that,
Mm.
um, earlier in that little transition time,
Yeah,
before your
yeah.
freshman year. What, like, pulled you
Yeah.
to keep
So
doing
I
it?
think it was just the different like environments for me personally. Gymnastics was like I love the people there, but it kind of got a little toxic for me towards the
Mhm.
end. But when I got into running, I feel like there was just like endless possibilities. Like there's just so much progress you can make and you can just keep pushing yourself to get to like where you can be. Like I still have so much potential in me and like I have these opportunities where I can like fulfill myself, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I just feel like it was a really healthy environment to me, like, for me to kinda, like, switch over, and it was just, like, something where, like, it just made sense, like, that and my mom has been saying, like, for so long, but, like, I was made to run, like, God made me as a runner, like, my legs are pretty long, so, like, she's like, "Your stride, like, God made you for this sport, so, like,
Mhm.
do this sport for him," kinda thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So, to kinda glorify him, but yeah. I don't know if
I
that
love
answered your
it.
question, but I kinda just rambled,
No,
but
that's
yeah.
fine. I mean, I was just, like, curious yeah, just because of, like, yeah, you hating it and then, like, loving it. Yeah, I was just, like, curious on that transition because
Well, I
you
think
know
you get that runner's high, like, that's not a
no,
joke, right?
I
You probably
agree.
felt really good.
I,
Mhm.
about me for 1 second, like, I did, like, a marathon, 2 marathons last year, and I remember training for them.
I remember you training too for
Mhm.
that.
That runner's high, it's like a real thing or, like, what for a marathon more
Yeah.
so, like, between miles, like, 6 and 10, I felt the best,
Mhm.
or whatever, but yeah, you feel good, so I can totally relate, see what you mean there, and,
Yeah.
did you have any, like, teammates or coaches that were, like, pulling you forward, or was it just more, like, internal, just, "Hey, I just need a switch?" Um,
Yeah.
you think
So,
there
it was, like, a lot of I think me just wondering how far I could go and, like, how quick I could run. I think there was a lot of, like, me versus me in that
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
And also I always had, like, my parents', like, support. My mom was always like, "Okay," like, she would always bike next to me during my runs, like, she would always make sure I'd
Aw,
get my
that's
training done, like and it was just, like, that was beautiful. But, my freshman year coach also, like, put a lot of faith in me, I'd say. Like, he believed in me, and I think that gave me a different, like, outlook on, like, myself and what I could do because of how much he believed in me as, like, someone who's been coaching for years, and,
Yeah.
yeah, that was kinda what pushed me, and I wanted to, like, make him proud, make myself proud, make my parents proud, make God proud, like, it was just a lot of, like, I wanna do this for other people and, like, to do this for me, so it's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
last question for me for a sec.
Okay.
I think you have one.
I
Um,
always do.
more, I know you do.
I always
But, okay, so obviously you love running and everything. Was
Mhm.
there ever a time, either in high school or I don't know, freshman year, college where you wanted to quit? Track, anything come up there? Um,
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
can think
Good
of?
so
question.
yeah. My senior year of high school was probably one of the most, like, difficult years I've had, like, sense, like, that's the most difficult year I've had in my life. Um, I dealt with a lot of, like, problems in my training, like, I was not running as fast as I wanted to, I had some issues with injuries, both my cross country and track season, so, like, throughout that entire year, I was just going through obstacles, and, like I'm sure we'll get to later, but, like, my college transition, I was committed one place, and then I ended up having to decommit and deal with that whole process over again, and I don't know if you know anything about the recruiting process, but that is one stressful process. So it was just like things packing on like college applications. It was just like such a hard time for me. And I was like, I don't know if am I meant to do this? Like, if by decommitting from one school, does that mean like God doesn't want me to run? Like, did they drop me because I wasn't good enough? Like, there was a
Mhm.
lot of thoughts going through my head that was like really degrading, and it was really hard to keep going and wake up for practice because like what am I doing this for? Like why am I doing this to myself? There was a lot of that because I was in pain like running. I was trying to push through like my injuries so I could like defend my state title right in the mile. um and it was just like it almost came to the point where I was dreading going to practice and running, which was like not where you should ever be in like a sport that you want to continue obviously in the college level. So um, it was a lot of ups and downs for sure, and it was a lot of stress and pressure and sad, scary times. But I also, during that time, I had a lot of really good people around me, and like people who like kept me in check almost, and like was like, "You're here for a reason," like all this stuff. So it was really hard. I guess the senior year was definitely a difficult time in my life, but thankfully
Yeah.
for the people around me, I stayed and I was like, I am meant to do this. Like now I found my love for running again, and it's I'm definitely in a way healthier position than I am than I was in my senior year. So yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about you saying all that is, like, you're already a state champ and, like, you're, like, in the world's eyes, like, in your eyes too, like, "Hey, you're good at this," and you're still thinking
Hmm.
about, letting it
Exactly.
drop potentially. So that's just,
Yeah.
crazy and obviously requires a lot
Yeah.
more of that, external support,
Yeah.
if you will.
I think that happens in a lot of athletes we see too, because most athletes that are competing and they're competing at a higher level, you do put a lot of pressure on yourself. So it's
Hmm.
one of those things where it's probably you climb this mountain and you work your butt off to become a state champion, but then sometimes it's even harder and more pressure on yourself to maintain that than it is to
Mhm.
get there. And so it's just you think you get there, but then there's still always going to be that more pressure. Mainly that comes from ourselves, but I like how you
Mhm.
mentioned having those people in your corner you can talk to. And I want to
Mhm.
talk about those too. And since we already did kind of like talk about it, let's talk through like that recruiting process because since we're there, I think it's a good time.
Yeah.
So you were committed to go run you were where tell us that. Where were you going?
I was gonna go to the University of Florida in
Okay.
Gainesville.
Big
Yeah.
deal.
So,
That's a big
big
The
deal. Big
SEC,
school. Yeah.
yeah.
D1, like, yeah, big
Big
Okay.
time.
school. Yeah. Yeah. So
You
I
probably
started
signed for that in the fall of your senior year. Like, is that when you
yeah,
signed
so
for
Or committed.
you're
I
committed?
didn't sign.
Okay.
I committed the summer of between my junior and my senior year. And
Okay.
I visited April of my junior year. So I like kind of knew I was going there for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I was committed for 6, 7, 8 months at the time. Um, and it was something where I was like, I was in love with the school. Like I
Mhm.
had all the merch, we had the hats, the shirts. Like my
Gator
cousins all loved
everything.
UF. Yeah, exactly. There was like a Gator flag in our living room. Like it was set. Like I was going there. Like it was really nice because in Florida we have bright futures, so like the tuition would be paid for, but just because I had met these certain scores on my tests and like
Oh,
had
cool.
these service hours. So like it was like the dream, right? Like I was going to this big SEC school. Like some of my friends were going to go there, 'cause it's really popular to go there in my
Mhm.
state. But yeah, I was just like I was in love with it. I loved the coaches, I loved the team, the facility. I was like, this is perfect. Like I'm meant to go there, all this stuff, right?
Mhm.
Uh and so I was committed for, like I said, that amount of time. And in November, I was texting the coach, like, oh, when can I sign? Because I was supposed to sign later that week. And he was like, let's just have a chat on the phone. And I was like, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, okay. Because I heard some rumblings about the SEC rules changing for cross country and track. The roster limitations kind of were set in place during the summer. So, like, basically, they had to, like, squashed the roster. Like half the team was cut, all this stuff, right? So I was hearing all these rumblings. It was making me nervous. And we got on a call and like he was like, "Yeah, we don't have a spot for you right now. I'm sorry. Like I'm really really sorry." He couldn't really say much, and there's no hard feelings towards him at all because he was a
Sure.
great guy, and I'm sure there was a lot of pressure from like overhead saying you
Mhm.
have to cut these people, right? So um a few other recruits were cut as well, which was like hard for us. But immediately I was like, what do I do? Like if the past 7 months, I was like, I'm going here. We have this merch. That's the only school I submitted a college application for. So I was like, what do I do? Like how do I get to school? Um, and I had to I started talking to people. I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I even supposed to run? Like, was this God telling me I'm not supposed to run out of school? Right. Um, and I just remember that night was like a really, really low point in my
Mhm.
life just because I was like, I'm not cut out for this. And already my season wasn't what I wanted it to be because I was just dealing with these injuries and like this pain. And I was like, I don't know who's going to take me like at this point. Right. Um, and I opened up my recruitment. I started texting coaches, like calling coaches. Right.
Mhm.
And one of those coaches, Harvard, I was talking to the coaches there. And immediately they showed a lot of interest and they had me out on a visit, that January. So it was like a month after I got the call saying I didn't have a spot. And I went there and I like fell in love with it. It was during J term, so no students were around, but the team was around and they were practicing and stuff like that. Um, and the team was just so incredibly like it was like a family. And like me stepping in, it wasn't like weird. I wasn't like a cast out. Like
Mhm.
they hung out with me. It was just like a perfect scenario. And I was like, wow, like I think I'm supposed to be here. Like I fell in love with it. And I remember this was like the distinct moment I decided I really wanted to go there, but we went to a froyo shop like right around campus. And I don't know if you know the song Vienna by Billy Joel, but that's like one of my favorite songs of all time.
I
And
feel like I shouldn't.
it started playing in the froyo shop. And I was like, wow, like that was the sign, like I'm supposed to go here. Like wow. It was a really surreal moment. And I called the coach a few weeks later, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to go here. And we had to go through this whole process because the Ivy League is really like we have recommendation letters and there's this whole big process. You have to go through interviews and stuff like that because you also have to be an asset for the academics as well. It's not just like, oh, you're good at your
Mhm.
sport, let's go. Like you
Mhm.
had to be smart. Like, you have to have a good GPA, good test scores. So there's a lot of pressure on that side as well. But we got through all of that, and I was like finally in. I made the commitment and I signed and all this stuff, and it was just like the only way like that could be explained is because God knew I wasn't supposed to be going to UF. I was supposed to be going to Harvard, and like even now, like almost done with my first semester there, like I I still completely agree. Like I was meant to go here. Like I found a good church group. I
Mhm.
have teammates to go to church with me. Like I don't know. I can't even say. I'm like kind of speechless right now because how
Yeah.
much like there's nothing else that could explain it. And like how even this like hard, really low point has turned out to be like such a good pivot in the right direction. And like now I have so many endless opportunities and like I'm in a great position. I have teammates, friends, coaches are great. Like I couldn't ask for anything more. So yeah, it's kind of
I
the story.
love that, and I know
Yeah.
it where you're coming from, because sometimes when you have a feeling that's so strong, it's really hard to describe, like, those
Hmm.
feelings that you just
Yeah.
know, but what
Yeah.
I'm learning and what I'm hearing is that God can use anything to let you know you're in the right place, even if it's Billy Joel and Froyo, like,
Yeah.
he'll use it
Exactly.
to let you
Yeah.
know, like, "Yes,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is how it's supposed to go," and
Hmm.
I think it's really cool too, because I remember when you and I, were speaking last weekend, you'd mentioned that, every Sunday at 5, you and your teammates go to church together, and so I
Hmm.
don't know if you mentioned you do Bible studies or something, but it sounds like
Hmm.
it's a place that you can grow academically, athletically, and in your faith with that strong core group of teammates you have.
Hmm.
So that's
Yes, for sure.
really
Yeah. It's really nice. We have like a certain structure. Like we always meet, go to church, and then we also after that we go to the same froyo place after church for our it's our like Sunday reset, we say. Go to church
That's
and then we
Yeah,
gonna
get
be
froyo.
your
But
I have a feeling that's gonna be, like, your favorite shop, if,
that it already
your
is.
restaurant shop.
most definitely is. Yeah. It's
Okay.
great.
Most importantly too, is your house now totally redecked in Harvard flags in the living room now?
Yes.
Okay.
There is so much merch like everywhere. Like my parents
Mascot.
have so many hats, shirts.
What is the
We're decked out.
mascot for Harvard?
Is there a
It's
mascot?
it's Go Crimson. So it's a color, but
Oh,
Okay, okay.
it's
okay.
like we don't really have a
Fine.
mascot, I guess. But yeah.
No, that's fine. I
Want to be
was,
different.
I wasn't sure.
I didn't
So that's crazy. And then, so it'd be really hard for you to see your life like at UF right now compared to
Mhm.
like Harvard. So like, um, you don't want to say like God works in mysterious ways. He works like exactly the way he's
Mhm.
supposed to work. That story that you just shared with like the recruiting process, um, I don't wanna say it's like the epitome of what like, you know, trusting in God and, the verse that always comes to my mind is Proverbs 3, 5, 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways
Mhm.
acknowledge him, and he'll set your path straight." So and there's, other verses obviously that's, allude to the same thing, but just stepping out on faith, taking it one day at a time, um, that had to be, like, so crushing, and you probably couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel right when you got that call from that Florida
Mhm.
coach, if I had to
Yeah.
guess. Um,
Yeah.
golly, I couldn't I obviously didn't
That
have that
was yeah. It was
situation, but
crushing for sure. Yeah. And actually I think I had a day in between, but then the next day I had my regional like cross country meet. So I had to get up right back and like I had to
oh,
kind of like
snap.
take it all in and
Yeah,
I had to race, right? So I had to suppress all the feelings of like the
yeah,
unknown. Like I had no idea where I was going. And then I had this interviewer at the end of the race ask me if I'm excited to go to UF and I didn't know what to say because
Mhm.
I'm not going there anymore. So I was like,
yeah,
can we cut that out? Maybe like can you
Yeah.
just edit that? Like but
yes.
it was a really, really tough time. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of unknown and a lot of like, what am I here for? What is my purpose? And I just didn't know for a while. So yeah, it was
Let's
a lot.
I wanna dive into that.
I do too,
Um,
but I
with
do wanna make note of something real quick.
okay, you
Right,
make
you
your
right, you make your note, but I think too, though, I wanna just point out too, I feel like that's one thing I love about sports so much and the beauty about sports, because sometimes when things don't go our way and we don't have anything we're still doing or teammates, like, it's easy to fall into a path of your dwelling in that sadness, but I think it's a blessing that you had that meet that next day, because you had to get back up and be around
Hmm.
teammates and be around people, versus if people
Hmm.
don't have that, it's just kind of like this downward spiral, right? So, though
Hmm.
it sucks, I feel like sometimes that's such a benefit of a teammate and coaches, and having those things that we have to go out and do, because it keeps us moving
keeps you
forward
moving.
and
You can't pout, if you will, for too long,
Yeah. No.
outwardly and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
gotta, get your
Mhm.
game face on.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
I was gonna ask on, where faith played a part in that, your
Mhm.
reliance on God in that, month, a few weeks time frame before you committed to Harvard and everything, before Billy Joel, in the Froyo shop. So that transition from that phone call to the Froyo shop commitment, where did faith play a part in, like, were you ever just like, "God, where do you want me?" I mean, what did that all look like? Was there ever any, like, runs you went on where I call it angry running, I don't know,
I call it
praying?
rage running. I do a lot of rage running in my
Yeah.
Anything like that where you're like, "God, what do you want?" I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened
Yeah.
there?
There was definitely a lot of questions that I was asking God. I was like, why like I at first I was quite angry. I was like,
Mhm.
why did you do this to me? Like, why did you put this like before that I thought God wanted me at UF. Like I felt good in that decision. I thought there was a good faith community there. Like I was like, oh, I meant to be there and God I thought God gave me the sign to go there, right? So I was like, what is happening? Why are we switching up now? I was just very upset at first, but after my teammates and like my friends were a really big support during this time, um, and I just really started to dive into like journaling and like kind of journaling my feelings as well as like when I would go to church. My one of my really good friends and teammate, she gave me like a journal for like a Bible journal for going to church for my birthday earlier that year, and I started really using it. I wasn't using it before, and then I was like, I just need some guidance. I'm just very lost. I don't know what to do. So I'm gonna lean into my faith, right? So I started journaling at church, really taking notes, like trying to figure out where I was supposed to go and like trying to navigate this really hard time. Um, and it was honestly like very comforting to just go to church and know at a certain point I was like, I know I'm gonna be going where God wants me to go. So I need to like stop worrying and let him take control and like give him my worries, give him my nervousness. Like I was a mess. And after that, I just had to like bring it together and I had to give it all to God. And I think that's when things really started to click for me when I stopped trying to be the one controlling everything. Cause at that point, there was very little I could control. Um, with the roster spots. Like I didn't know what to do. So by giving all my worries and my like sadness to God, that really, really helped me like with clarity. And when I finally went on that visit, obviously, like that was quite a breakthrough, I think. And it just
Mhm.
made so much sense to me. And I could tell God knew I was supposed to be going to Harvard
Yeah.
rather than
That's
yeah. So
I love that, and, um, again, back to the whole, God knows exactly what he's doing,
mhm,
where you might think like, "Oh, I made the wrong decision to committing to Florida or whatever," but no, it was the right decision. You made the right decision with the information you knew at the time. You went with your gut. I'm sure you prayed about, right, going to UF for a
mhm,
while, and, God gave you that. However, it's all part of his greater plan, right? Because
mhm.
would you be as reliant on God if things went perfectly, and
Yeah.
stayed at Florida? So it could be a thing where
Mhm,
God, okay, I'm gonna let Mackenzie do all this. Take it away because I'm gonna turn her heart to me more, right, and have her
mhm,
need to rely on me more. So, um, when I'm hearing that, that's what I think of.
mhm,
And just like, hey, this almost needed to happen in some way so I could give more glory to God and
mhm,
put more, faith in him. So um
mhm.
so that's great. In a number of other reasons, I'm sure, but that could be one of them, right? A big one. uh
Yeah.
Giving it all to God
How did your friends and family and coaches react to this situation with Florida and you going?
Yeah.
Were they the kind that were like, "It'll all work out," or like pray with you, or how did they react and how did that help you? I guess kind
Yeah.
of.
I definitely had a combination of reactions, which I think was like best case scenario for me because I had different people to go to for different things.
Yeah.
But like originally my parents were, as you'd imagine, pretty mad. Like we had our all our eggs in one basket. Like we were set on this school and one night it just like the switch was flipped and I didn't know where I was going anymore. So for a long like for the first like month or two after, like they were pretty upset, but they were also very comforting in the fact they were like, "Oh, it's gonna work out. God has a plan for you, and it's gonna work
Yeah.
out. Like you can't be stressed about this, right?" So that was good from their part because whenever I was home, like they made sure I was doing okay. Like they were a big part in my communication as well. Like I was like, oh, should I reach out to this school? And they were like, maybe not. Maybe you should. Like it was very helpful in that sense as well. And then like kind of shifting to like my friends and my teammates, they they had a funny reaction. They were definitely like pretty upset at first as well, but then they just were such a good like support group that I could like go and talk to whenever I needed something. Like I had a really good group of girls that played different sports and like was really good friends with them in school. And they were just like really really helpful. They asked me if I wanted to hang out or if I needed any help. Like they were really really good with making sure I was okay and like making sure that I could also get my mind off recruitment and like the whole thing that happened. So that was really really helpful. And I definitely got a few really long texts that were like so like heartfelt and touching and like I knew that like this was almost like God speaking to me through them and like God put these girls in my life for a reason, like so they could comfort me through like this hard time, right? So that was like really really special and I'm really grateful for them and I'm really close to them still. So it's like a really fun like full circle moment, I guess, like to see where I am now versus where I was like this time actually last year. So that's really like fun. And then my teammates were probably like the ones closest to it all because they're also runners. So like they also know about the recruitment process. They knew how excited I was to go to UF and like they know running really well. So they are also some of my closest like faith driven friends. And they were just really, really like comforting almost. Like they invited me to church. My one really good friend, she invited me to church and she just wanted to like she really like she is my like shining light when it comes to like people who I look at. Like I see Christ in her all the time. So for her to be behind me like and in my corner and like always making sure I was okay, it was just I had such a great like group of people surrounding me. So like I'm so thankful for that. But they're probably the only reasons why I like got through that time because of them and like how I was leaning on God at the time. But they played a really big part in how quick I bounced back and how I was able to like continue my recruitment. So yeah.
I love it. So one thing here, I just more of a comment, if you will, then like want to get more into like the actual nitty gritty of like faith and running and like truly, let's talk more about the praying, before, during, after meets, like faith in action and stuff. I just wanted to make the comment of like, obviously you going through your situation, of the whole recruitment process, not going how you want, in a weird situation, weird transition, all of that. I think, that builds strength, in a lot of ways, just because, hey, we're going to be entering, a corporate world, real world, entrepreneurship world, whatever it is, post college, 5, 10, 15 years from now, whatever it is, there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff that happens where you have 5 years worth of work all built up that's just taken from you overnight. And you're going to have to rely on that faith, so whatever the situation is, obviously happens to everyone, but, what you went through in that transition is obviously just going to build up, your foundation of faith and strength later to be able to adapt to whatever comes your way. Right. Cause you've proven it already. You've proven it. You can adapt and overcome. Right. So that's great. Wanted to ask, I know we were talking about like praying before, during, after and all that. Just want to dive into the weeds a little bit more there. A little bit, I don't want to call it more applicable stuff, but I don't know, for example, favorite Bible verse. I mean, was there anything um you always thought of during your decisions, or multiple Bible verses? Anything stick out to you there?
So my favorite, I'm sure you've heard this is probably a popular answer, but it's Philippians 3:14. It's just it's been my favorite Bible verse for quite a long time. Like when I was a gymnast as well, I actually had like the decal on my wall, like of the Bible verse that I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I just really, I guess, tried to embody that for as long as I can remember, because that's been my favorite for God knows how long. But so actually we had this thing. I was the captain my senior year, and I thought it would have been really cool to like write Bible verses on our spikes. So they were like mesh and we had Sharpies and like fun colors and stuff like that. So we sat down after practice one day and we just wrote our favorite Bible verses, or just like we are capable, like God is within us, like you cannot break her, right? So it was really special to do that as a team. And then also just every time we raced or did a hard workout and we put those spikes on, like that was the last thing we saw, right? So it
Sure.
was kind of fun to like re-cement that in our minds. And another thing, when I was racing, I also was talking to a lot of like sports psychologists and like how to get through these tough races, right? And they were like, well, something that would be really good is if you repeat something that like is something important to you, or like something that can make you keep going, push through the pain, right? And I remember my senior year, my like saying was, I am capable. God makes me capable. Like I was like, God's within me. I cannot fail. Right. So I had a lot of like, God strengthen me. God strengthen me. Like allow me to push through this right now. So that's what I would repeat in my head to kind of associate with the pain, but also disassociate in the sense that I'm like not taking, but like embodying his
Yep.
power, his grace, and like continuing to push through this race, even if it was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. But yeah, so that's some of the ways that I incorporated my faith in my racing and like my spikes and
Yeah.
but yeah.
That's like the pinnacle of like what this is all about, and like truly faith in sports. Like you can't like intersect faith anymore in sports than to like be on mile 2.5, whatever, your final sprint,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to finish your
Yeah.
5K.
Mhm.
Then to say, I am capable, God is with me, God makes
Yeah.
me capable, all of that. Like that's
Exactly.
like the epitome of faith in
Exactly.
sports. So
Well,
that's
that's why I
great.
was like so curious with like cross country running, because I'm like, there's
You
a
have a lot of
lot of
time.
time
Yeah.
to mess with your head, right? Where it's
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
playing
So
basketball, I'm
much.
shooting a free throw, I've got 5 seconds to think about it and it's done.
that is
You know what I
true.
mean? But like when you're
Yeah.
running, it's just a constant.
Yeah, that's probably a lot
Yeah.
more mental.
And then the weather, I'm
Yeah,
sure they didn't cancel a meet because it was raining, so it's like rain,
Yeah.
snow,
Yeah.
hurricanes, whatever.
I doubt
Yeah.
hurricane.
I mean, they were in Florida, so maybe
Well, okay, yeah,
they tough it out there.
tough it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, you got a long time to think about it, and I like that you
For
talked about, like,
sure.
with a sports psychologist, because I do think that, like, I mean, all sports, but I do feel like, especially, like, those long distance,
Mhm.
like, it can mess with your head, you know? It
Yeah, it
can.
was yeah. It was really, really challenging. And like in cross country we have the most insane courses. Like we're back in the middle of the forest, like for
Oh,
half the race. And a lot of the time no one is out there. Like it's just you racing against the girls around you, but also like there's a lot of the time where you're by yourself. Whether
Right.
that's like when
you're
you're in
way out
front or
in
like in
front
the
of
middle of the path,
everyone.
Were
right?
there people that were
Exactly.
brutal? Were there
And
some elbows or anything?
oh, definitely. Like everyone says it's not a contact sport, but there's definitely like off the line, like you want to get your position, like there's definitely some elbows thrown. So and
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, definitely in the back of the like in the woods, like you lose yourself a lot. Like that's where the thoughts creep in and you're like, "Oh, I don't know if I can push through this." You can't see the finish line. You can't see anyone really.
Yeah.
There's no noise. Like it's just you and you can hear yourself breathing and like you
Mhm.
laboring and it's just
Yeah.
it's such an interesting feeling and you like can't really describe it unless you're in that moment and like feeling that pain of like not knowing if you can keep pushing and keep running fast. But
Yeah.
that's where I really had to like bring in, like I said, like my like repetition where I was like, God strengthens me, like God is within me, like I'm capable, right? So I had to like literally repeat that. Like is quite a time. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting. Yeah.
I I don't want to say I can relate because I'm not as fast as you, but like I'm sure, but like
But I've walked a mile once
well,
and
no. Um, I remember that weirdly, and when I can relate in some ways with the
Mhm.
marathon or whatever, the few I ran
Yeah.
last year and
Yeah.
everything of just like that, just needing to like repeat that. So I can totally see how repeating that constantly would help you and
Mhm.
everything there. So there's that component. And then okay, the state records wanted to talk about. So uh humble brag. It's okay to brag for a second here. A lot of hard work you had in here.
Mhm.
But you're a two-time state champ, is that right? Um,
Just one time.
one-time
But
state champ.
yes,
Okay,
one
state
time
record.
state champ. Yeah.
Rude, Ryan.
Sorry. Oh,
No.
2A. Sorry, my notes. 2A.
Yeah.
2A.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Class
Yeah.
class of 2A. Okay.
Still
Yes,
more
that's the
state
class.
championships than I have, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
okay.
a state champ, a school record. Uh,
Yes.
right? And what
Yes.
was your
So
time?
yeah. I 4:59, but I think
Okay.
the record is 4:58. Like that's the record. I didn't run that at states, but that was my personal record there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not bad, not
My
bad.
goodness, I
Yeah.
can't even unload my dishwasher in 458. Like that's my
Yeah.
goodness. Listen, my 2025 resolution was to run a 5K every month, right? Because I needed to keep
Yeah.
doing it. And I remember, I think my fastest is like 28 and a half. And I was proud of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
She's doing good.
okay, listen, I'm also
You're good.
okay.
You're winning your age group
I'm winning my age group.
sometimes.
Okay.
Yes.
Actually,
Little wins.
I
Yes.
did once. I do have a
Okay.
couple of medals. Okay. But that's not the point. I don't want to get off topic. My point is that's crazy fast. That's wild. I'm sure at the end of that you want to throw up because I don't think you run a mile in 458 and feel amazing afterwards, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
euphoric, but physically, I mean, that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember after states specifically, like right after I won, I felt horrible. Like if you look at the video, I like lean over at the line just because I didn't know like that last stretch if I could make it over the line. Like I thought I was gonna fall or something. Like my
Oh,
legs were getting out of me like while I was running. And I like
yeah.
leaned over and I just remember like I couldn't like feel really anything. I just remember like I was smiling so big. Like I was in so much pain, but I was like, yes, finally, like I
Yeah.
got that state title. That was what I was working for like the past 3 years. And it was just like an insane, like surreal moment. And even though I was in so much pain, like it was just like I had the biggest, cheekiest smile on my face. So
I,
it
I
was
feel like
just, yeah.
when you say that, my biggest thought is that I just imagine that being like the end of the race of our lives, right? Like we're in so much pain because life is life. Life is life,
Hmm.
and sometimes, and there's a lot of hard
Yeah.
things that we have to deal with, and it is hard,
Hmm.
and we don't know if we finish. But when you're saying like we have this biggest smile, like I feel like
Hmm.
that's kind of
We
what it's going to be like at the end of our lives. You know, it's like
Yeah.
but it's hard,
Hmm.
but
hate to keep going
Yeah.
after that, but like I have
yeah.
another
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
no, that was a great analogy there. And um I almost got I was gonna ask, living out your faith, right? In a Catholic upbringing and
Hmm.
junior high school compared to, an Ivy League school, right?
Hmm.
In my eyes, I don't know, Ivy League a lot, but college in general is usually a little bit more secular,
Hmm.
than high school can be. So what are the main challenges you feel there? I mean, do you feel a lot of maybe pressure to like I don't know, hide your faith a little bit more? How do you navigate that? The differences of high school and college, right? Living out your faith.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely like a whole different ballpark, right? So there's a lot of different, it's so much different than my high school when you kind of knew everyone, at least knew about Jesus.
Mhm,
Even if they didn't believe, they knew what was happening and like praying
mhm,
and stuff like that. But like college and like Harvard is like a whole different, like there's so many different faith groups because students are from all over the world. So there's people believing in every different like religion and it's like special in the sense that everyone has their own thing but also it's kind of scary like not knowing like whether you can be like oh yeah I'm going to church like do you
mhm,
want to come with me like it's kind of like when I'm telling my roommates oh I'm leaving for church like I don't really know how they're going to react the first time I said but they were very
mhm,
like obviously really nice about it. I love my roommates and
mhm,
they always support like my different endeavors but
mhm,
um yeah it's definitely like a scary experience and it's a lot more scary to like invite people and to come to church with me, you know? But it was also very good when I did have my teammates to like kind of
mhm.
accompany me to go to church. So it wasn't as scary to like go alone because I have
Yep.
them and like we always go. So, but yeah, it's definitely different. It's a lot different.
I can see that. And, it's only been a few months, at this
Mhm,
or whatever it is, 3 months ish or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just kind of finding that nucleus, finding that little pod
that
of
nucleus.
I was a biology major. Couldn't tell you
We're
what it
trying to
is
speak
anymore.
Harvard now.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
trying to fit in.
trying to show off here. I forget what I was talking
I don't
about.
need I'll find your nucleus, find your core.
Yeah,
You found your core
find your
piece.
nucleus and get the mitochondria with you
Yeah,
while you're
yeah,
at it.
that's
So,
the energy.
the
That's the energy
powerhouse of the
powerhouse
cell.
of the cell.
That's all I
Okay.
remember.
But but I do think that is encouraging though too, because even though I think that puts you in an uncomfortable position with people that you're not sure of. But again, like you said, like you're in a place now where there might be an opportunity for somebody to hear about Jesus for the first time. And I like
Hmm.
that you have that nucleus and that team of people to encourage you and embolden you that you feel like you don't have to hide your faith where you are and that you can be
Yeah.
that, you have the support and you can go to church. So that way I feel like, you're so young, but like as you grow in your faith and as the next couple years here at Harvard,
Mhm.
you'll be, I mean, you already are prepared. It's not that you're not prepared now, but I'm just saying like as you continue to be able to tell people
Mhm.
about Jesus
Yeah,
or answer
for
questions
sure.
about the gospel. I know that was like a big fear of mine when I was younger is if I'd be like, "Oh, I believe in Jesus," and be like, "Why?" And I'd be like,
I don't
"I don't
know.
know." You know what I mean? But it's different now, but I'm just saying like
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool. And I
Mhm.
think even having
Yeah.
other world religions like around where you are, it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be scary because I think that sometimes when we learn about them, it makes it easier
Mhm.
to share Jesus with them,
Yeah.
right? Because you can what's the word I'm looking for? You can kind of like I don't want to say advocate for Christ because Christ doesn't need an advocate, but like you can kind of, you know what I mean, preach the gospel
Yeah,
more when you're coming from a place of understanding where
for sure.
what they believe in too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not a bad thing. It
And
could be a really
yeah.
blessing that you're there to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and too, and like even if obviously, yeah, we want to evangelize vocally when we
That's the
can.
word,
I thought
evangelize. That's what
so.
I was looking for.
Evangelize. Um, but Saint Augustine said,
Mhm.
preach the gospel at all times, when
Uh-huh.
necessary, use words.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, yeah, just your friends, colleagues, people of different faith, they can see like your Christian roots and everything just in the way you
Mhm.
you treat people. We like to say, be the face of Jesus to others. I think you mentioned one of your friends,
Yeah.
was like that Jesus shining
Yeah.
through her
Mhm.
and everything. So just like that, that example of serving and um
Yeah.
everything there is gonna be perfect, and help a
Yeah.
lot. So,
Yeah.
um, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is
And
there
Well,
we
yeah,
always
there's
want to find out too if there's
Mhm.
anything because I know we covered a lot of stuff, and I just want to make sure that while we're wrapping up and coming close to an hour here, if
Mhm.
you we just want to open up if there's anything that you have like on your heart that you want to share, maybe something we didn't talk about that you would like to talk about or reference, or any kind of like words that you would give to maybe a younger athlete going through struggles that might be kind of like, "God, why would you do this to me?" Or like, "God, like,
Mhm.
why am things aren't going well," kind of
Yeah.
imparting your wisdom onto them as far as
what would you say
Yeah.
to 16-year-old Mackenzie
that's a good or we
Oh,
could put it that
right
way.
now?
Yeah, man. That's a good question. Guess that would have been the
yeah.
fastest way to say it.
Yeah. That's a hard one. Let me
Sorry,
think
yeah, we
about
did
that for a
just
second. Wow.
Well,
throw that
yeah, we
on you.
asked like 10 questions at
We
once,
did,
but
yeah, so
Yeah.
I
yeah.
guess let's just
I
start with, like, yeah, what advice you would give to someone struggling because
yeah, and I
because they
think
have an injury or they got cut.
yeah. Yeah, and there's something like there's so much we don't know in this world that we're not even supposed to know, like, and it's okay if we don't know.
Mhm,
And I think I would tell myself, like, it's okay if you don't know. Like, you
mhm,
got to go day by day and trust that he's a plan for you. And at the end of the day, it might not be your plan. Like, my plan was to go to UF, but that was not his plan. So
mhm,
he obviously, I followed his plan. I'm at Harvard now. I'm living my best life.
mhm,
But it's scary in those like dark moments when you don't know and you can't control what you want to control. And I think it's really important that you trust in Jesus and you know that he is controlling the outcome of your life and that he has a plan for you and you need to trust in that. Um so yeah.
beautiful.
That's
Beautiful, yeah, yeah,
perfectly said.
yeah.
Probably harder to do, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
perfectly said.
That
And
was good.
obviously, yeah, you lived it, and are living it now.
Mhm.
Um, so that's absolutely awesome.
Mhm.
It's always hard to like try to wrap up these podcasts because like I just want to keep naturally just want to keep talking. I always have like all these
Yeah.
questions about sports, Jesus, like
Mhm.
how you work with the team, different team members praying, all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
I think we went over a lot of awesome stuff. I mean, your story is like
Mhm.
absolutely inspiring. Switching from gymnastics, trusting the Lord to, have his way and work with you in track and
Mhm.
cross country now. Obviously, one of the biggest events in your life.
Mhm.
Switching up your commitment from, UF to Harvard. I mean, all that's great, and God's obviously got a lot of great things in store for you as you begin your college
Yeah.
career and all that. So, what is next for you? I mean, what's the season looking like? Not that,
Yeah.
God obviously has his plan, but from what you understand, God's telling you now.
What you think your plan is.
Yes, what's
Yeah.
next for you coming up here?
Yeah. So I actually haven't raced this whole season, which is interesting. But I've been dealing with like a few bumps in the road. Like I
Mhm.
found out I was really low iron at the beginning of the season, and then that I think correlated with I now have a stress fracture in my femur. So the
Oh
rocky
goodness.
road continues. So
Yeah.
yeah, the tough challenges, they keep coming, even if you think you're in the right place, which I know I am. But uh
Mhm.
uh and I know I am in the right place when I know, like, I love to be there and I love the people, even though I'm going through these hard times, that I
Mhm.
still trust in God's plan that I will be running in the next few months. Like, I think I'm healing really well, so I should be running hopefully by outdoor track, which will be
Hey.
fun to like finally be able to rep the Crimson. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's just life life hits you hard sometimes, but you just got to get up, and
Mhm.
God has helped me. He's put his hand out and he's lifted me up. And
Yeah.
even though I've been going through these challenging times and they continue, um I never fail to understand that this is part of his plan. And I sometimes I can't rush things like that. I have time, I have opportunities waiting for me.
Mhm.
I just have to trust and believe in the Lord
I
during the
Goodness.
season.
love
So
it.
yeah.
Golly. Yeah, so
Yeah.
sorry, and can't believe it's been 55 minutes and we just now got to understood your current
I
situation
know.
now
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
your
There's a
stress
lot.
fracture on your like,
Yeah.
okay, add on top, I know obviously, we're persevering and we've already, gone over that, but like
Yeah.
what you've got just the last year, the whole commitment thing, and
Yeah.
now like this injury, like you thought you made the right coming to Harvard, now like you can't
Mhm.
even run right now. Like that's gotta be
Exactly.
even more
Yeah.
frustrating, right?
It's super, yeah.
In a lot of ways. So
Mhm.
I know you're probably still navigating like, hey, God, I know you got something for
We'll have
me.
to
I
do
know
a
there's a
part 2
reason.
after their first race.
Yeah.
And then
Give
what
us an update.
Yes.
so a few months
Yes.
would when's like the spring season? I know when the spring is,
It's
but like
yeah.
when's like that
It's
So,
season?
after winter.
yeah.
Thanks.
There's
Um,
indoor track. Indoor track is from January to like
June.
March, and then outdoor will be from like end of March to May-ish, June.
So
So,
okay, so it's still
yeah.
a few months. So optimistic, if rehab goes all right, can
Mhm.
do some indoor or no? Would that be
Maybe
hard
towards
still?
the back end.
Okay.
It's hard to know because bone issues are so like tedious.
You don't
Like
wanna
we
mess
don't
that
know.
up.
It's
Yeah.
exactly. We want to be really careful with like the coming back process. So I'll hopefully start like walk jogging January, and then we'll see. My training obviously needs to ramp up after that, and we'll see how like it reacts. But I should be good to go by outdoor track. I'm praying that I am, but
We will be praying too.
obviously if that's
Okay.
not the plan, it's not the plan. But I'm just
Mhm.
working every day to try and get back. So yeah.
Yes. And okay, sorry, last question. How do you
For
think
real
you're
this time.
supporting the
Yeah.
team? I don't know, just for
That's a good
athletes. There's
question.
probably a lot
Mhm.
of athletes in your situation now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right? But it's a situation. How are you supporting the team, or how can other athletes support, cross
Yeah.
country team members?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
even though I'm not racing or like really running, I only can cross train on the stationary bike for 30 minutes every day. But I always come to practice. I try and be around the team as much as I can. So when I do come back, like it's not like, oh, she's back. It's like I've always been here. I'm just like
Yeah.
finally running now. But I feel like I've been put to like support the team well.
Mhm.
So I'd actually traveled to the conference race and the regional race for cross country the past month ish. And I like made posters. I spent a lot of time making posters and they turned out really good. But I think they were glad. There was a few of us that came up and like we drove up to the race to support, but we had posters. And we were just like really supportive. And I was really glad that I did go to that because it just made me happy seeing them doing what they love and like me
Yeah.
being just able to like support in some way and to like contribute to the team in some way. So that was like really fun and a really good, and it kind of like eased my mind a little bit too, because it's hard being away from the sport that you love for so long. So like being able to just be in the environment is really special, and like I'm grateful for that opportunity to obviously get the race.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm just trying my best to support, and like I'm also kind of, I don't want to say therapist, but whenever they have problems, like like they talk to me, or like I'm like, oh, good luck, you got this, like don't worry about it, this is an opportunity, like all that kind of stuff. So I just try my best to be a positive asset
Yeah,
in any
I
way I
love it.
can. But yeah.
Let them know your don't wanna call it secret prayer, but your mental prayer of your running, "God is with me.
Yeah.
I can do it."
Exactly, yeah. And I'm really excited now you brought that up, but I'm really excited to, like, when I do get to run, I'm excited to invite people to pray with me and, like, being that person to
Yeah.
kind of step up and, like, do those
Mhm.
prayers because I
Yeah.
haven't tackled that yet in the college scene, so I'm excited to do
Awesome.
that. But yeah.
That'll be perfect, and,
Mhm.
would just require that much more faith, right? To, to
Yeah.
do it, be bold and
Gotcha.
everything there. It only takes a
Mhm.
few folks, right? To
Mhm.
pray like that and, would encourage you not to, I don't know what word I'm looking for is, but, maybe be passive about it, but yeah, just, be bold
Yeah.
with it and,
Yeah.
patient, I should say. If no one follows you right away or not many people follow you, you can
I
Mhm.
don't think that'll be an issue.
well, yes, yes. I think you got it, but yeah, the ripple
Mhm.
effect,
So
Yeah.
can start with you for
Mhm.
sure. Um, well, awesome, Aaron. What other questions do
I'm
you have?
good. I feel inspired. Sometimes when we do these interviews and I talk to these people that are like half my age, I'm like, I'm learning all these things. Like, yeah, I can't
Yeah.
control everything. And I think that's a common theme we see with athletes, right? Because, you grow up and it's, what you put in is what you get out and it's up to you. And, if you want it, it's yours for the taking, go get it. But then you realize, oh God, we have to follow God's plan too. So
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
always on us and everything. So I think this
Exactly.
conversation has been a really good reminder of that and a really good reminder of making sure, that we have those right supports in place and the right
Mhm.
people and why having people of faith and team, you know what I mean? Why that's so important because we're going to go through things and you set that
Mhm.
nucleus up correctly in the beginning, then that can
Yeah.
be
You're not
very
gonna let
helpful in
go of
life.
that, are
I'm
you?
not. I'm going to be saying nucleus all day. So but thank
Yeah.
you so much for
Of course.
joining us. I think this has
Y
been very
Yeah.
powerful. I think a lot of athletes listening to this will be very, very relatable and very
Mhm.
inspired by
Inspired.
this. Mhm.
No, I agree. I was
Yeah.
just gonna say inspired. Yeah, what you've gone through, Mackenzie, and what you are going through now. Obviously, a season. We know it's all to glorify God and like Him calling you to lean on Him more, and
Mhm.
whoever's listening, if they're going through something similar, your call to action, if you will, to
Mhm.
lean on God more. So,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
So we will follow up with a part two. There will be a part two because we'll reach out once you start racing and just
Yeah.
kind of hear your experiences. So,
Yeah.
Please do. I'd be excited. Yes.
okay,
Yes,
we're in. We're locked
absolutely.
in now.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Perfect,
Awesome.
Mackenzie. Well, thanks for joining the Eternal Athletes podcast. I'll say
Of
a
course.
quick prayer here as we bring this in for a landing.
Mhm.
God, thank you for this amazing day. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the opportunity to live, love, grow, give, and serve our gifts for the greater good of this world. Please help us be all we are created to be. Help us be holy. Help us be saints. Please send your spirit upon Mackenzie and the whole Harvard cross country team. Please bless Mackenzie especially as she, works through her injury situation now, and help her be a light, just in her dorm, in her university, and ultimately in the community and eventually world. So, send your spirit upon Mackenzie, and thanks, Mackenzie. Thank you, Mackenzie, for hopping on here. So, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All
Amen.
right. Well, thanks
Beautiful.
for tuning in, everybody. This was a quick hour. This like flew by here. So time flies, having fun talking about Jesus and sports.
Mhm.
Can obviously do it forever. So perfect. Mackenzie DeLisle, everyone, Harvard cross country. Thanks for joining. Have yourself a great day, everyone. God bless.